Fnatic topple G2 and are your spring split champions.
3 rookies prove themselves worthy of the top 4 in the EU LCS. A double kill from Perkz! This guy is a madman! He can do it! Oh, Memento! You beautiful man! Guess the Quadra! Gotta be a pacer for Kobe!
It's time to find out who will rise. This is the EU LCS. Welcome back to Berlin for the last EU LCS show of the 2018 season. 240 days ago, we started right here with new teams, old legends, and stars to be all fighting for the ultimate honor of representing Europe at the 2018 World Championship. Today, Fnatic and Vitality have already punched their ticket to South Korea, and Schalke 04 goes up against the 4-time EU LCS champion G2 Esports in one final showdown. Today is about rising up. It is about making history. It is about stepping up when your team needs you the most. It is about a player like Caps, who picked Vayne when the reigning champions were with their backs against the wall, and he made a play that will echo in the history of the EU LCS. But it is also about a player like Jizuke, who was up against it, the Italian stallion, coming up clutch in Madrid in front of thousands and thousands of fans to punch a ticket for Vitality to the biggest stage in the world. But today, most of all, it is also about heroes like Amazing, who has seen the highest of highs and has fallen down into the darkest depths and hit rock bottom to climb his way all the way back to the top of Europe. And finally, and maybe most of all, it is about a player like Perkz, the last man standing on G2 Esports, the carry who holds the dreams of the team in his hands in this final showdown. Today, tears will be shed, history will be made, and new legends will be forged. And at the end of the day, we will know our final European representative for the 2018 World Championship. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the final of the regional qualifier.
Individual picks are key here. Perkz now on the backside looking to pick up Kasing. Has used the Shroud to reset. Perkz now unstoppable, going back in on Xerxes. Sharding looking for the solo.
Wrench! Give him the wrench! Here in Game 5, a grand showing of confidence from G2 as they move on to face Schalke in the final round.
Is he going to be able to nom on him? Doesn't quite have it. Now walking away, but Chachi is still alive. Suppressed and pulled back. Amazing the bodyguard. Amazing now pushing forward. The flash forward, the stun. They're just going to try to take down Hylissang. They're looking for a single pick, but Caps is immediately into the backline. The gameplay holding has been laid down. That's 2 taken out for the QSS. Just barely behind him. Safety, but the knockup from Vizicsacsi will be enough. Upset on a rampage.
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, here we are where Schalke 04 and G2 Esports have one last shot at securing Europe's 3rd seed at the World Championship as they gear up for today's best of 5 here in Berlin. I'm Eva Schalke supporter, joined by Fabian Sheepy Milan and Daniel Drakos. Oh, important day all around. I still have goosebumps from my own words, sorry. But there's so much on the line today, it's crazy.
I was going to say it.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like,
yeah, that was really great.
If you want to toot your own horn, that's fine. Good to be here on the desk alongside Sheepy.
Yeah,
it's been a long time. I was the host last time I worked with you.
Yeah.
So now I get to sit here and tell you when you're wrong.
Yeah.
We're also a great host. Like Shocks with the opening right now.
Everyone's great. So
Nice.
we're looking forward to hopefully also a great best of 5. Yesterday, of course, we did see G2 Esports keeping their world's dreams alive by beating Splice, and Drakos is going to give us the main takeaways.
So it was, of course, an incredibly back-and-forth series yesterday. Shocks, G2 on the cusp of losing a few times, but the draft and a few picks were actually crucial for their success in the series. Now, after an incredibly rough defeat in Game 1, it was Perkz who rose to Splice's challenge in Game 2. He unleashed a legendary Akali performance that killed Kasing Zilean so fast he couldn't even press R. It was beautiful, to be certain, and really just a showcase of how much of an incredible individual talent this guy is for the G2 lineup. However, G2 did fall behind again. After a single mistake in Game 3, their back was against the wall. In order to take the series, they had to let loose, and that means unleashing Jankos' Olaf in Game 4 and Game 5. He made incredible impact across both games and set himself up for success along with the entire G2 lineup. Now, for all the G2 fans out there, this is a return to form that Jankos has been waiting for so long. This is what they wanted to see, and him unleashing the Olaf, him making these picks in the early game half and these plays around his individual laners was absolutely fantastic. But the one I think was Reddit-worthy, highlight-worthy, absolutely all across the board incredible was Hjarnan. After so much criticism across the split for this guy, he brought back the Heimerdinger, and he came in clutch for the G2 lineup. He let loose in those last 2 games. Absolutely incredible performances. Dominated the lane and really pushed this champion to its limit to help G2 secure their spot. Really fantastic series from G2 in the end. And while these 3 champions were very important for G2, there is one pick that stands above all others for every single team on patch 8.16, and that is the Dreadnought Urgot. For more on that champion, here's Deficio.
Thank you very much, Drakus. And yes, Urgot, he's now randomly one of the most contested picks in the world. And I'm going to explain why, but I'm going to start with a very boring statement, simply saying nothing actually happened for Urgot. Nothing changed. He didn't get buffed. He didn't get nerfed. He's just now out of nowhere one of the best picks in the meta. And why? Well, pro players have figured out that this champion, the kit is actually pretty broken. Because if you look at him, he's a tank who can deal max HP damage with his legs. He also has a giant shield that scales with other tanky stats. And he has an ulti that can execute you. So this champ right here is actually really, really good to pick because he's not able to lose lane to basically anything. He can also both play mid and top lane right now. And he also really benefits from a change that happened a couple of patches ago, which is choose Spellbook. That is his preferred rune choice that we're also going to take a look at right now. So you see the Spellbook. Why? Well, you need offensive summoner for laning phase like Ignite, so you can actually kill people, but you also need TP later, otherwise you're going to lose every single Baron, like Wanda did yesterday when he actually played Urgot in the first game of the series. Following the rest of the tree, at the bottom you notice Time Warp Tonic. That is also important because you run with Corruption Potion in lane, so it gives you a ton of sustain. It's really hard then to poke you out. The last one I want to highlight here in the rune tree is Overgrowth from the Resolve tree. And if you notice the items underneath me, well, they actually work really well together with especially the Stone Plate, just where I'm standing right now. Because when you use Stone Plate and you get extra stats from Overgrowth, your W, the shield you put on yourself, it scales with bonus HP. So all these items plus this rune combined makes you insanely hard to kill. And remember also, you only need 1 damage item because you're Urgot. And with 1 damage item, you can kill a squishy. And you can also stay alive with the tanky items, and they can't really shut you down properly. Now, one last thing I really want to mention regarding his kit is his ulti. Now, this is one of the best parts about Urgot and one of the reasons he's so strong at the moment. A lot of people don't fully understand it yet, but it is a 4-second ability when you land it. It slows you down, and it even slows you more if you're already low. And if you go below 25% HP, you will just get executed when he reactivates it. Now, you might say, can we just stun him, CC him, and it stops? Nope. After 4 seconds, if you are low, it will automatically pull you back and kill you. And if you are playing Urgot, and if you want to play him in solo queue, play him like an idiot in team fights. Walk into 5 enemy players, press Stone Plate, you have AoE fighting around left and right, use your ulti on the correct target you want to execute, and then proc a big fear that basically makes it impossible for the enemy team to do anything. So that is my lesson for you. Black Cleaver, the runes I showed, play like an idiot in team fights, and you will carry. And you know what, Shucks? We're going to see more Urgot today, and they're all going to play him like an idiot. There you go.
There you go with the Riot settled on advice. Play like an idiot. But I think the main takeaway here is that Urgot has finally found its way to Europe. We've seen him every single day. Will be super hotly contested again, most likely.
Yeah, just an incredible pick all around. We've seen it utilized. We saw it banned so frequently when it came out as that new pick when teams weren't sure how to play it, but they've had time now, and in the Gauntlet it has been key for so many teams, and we'll see how many people take the play like an idiot advice today from
We will
Deficio.
see, indeed. Of course, one last best of 5 in the regional qualifier. The final, you could say, G2 is up against Schalke 04 for Europe's last spot at Worlds. Sheepy, it's been a bit of a crazy run so far, all the way to 5 games, both times. I guess that reinforces the fact that these teams are very close together in skill.
Yeah, it was a really, really difficult path. First, when Splyce was playing against Misfit, goes to 5 games. Then against G2, they barely miss it, and G2 is coming out ahead, even though it was super, super contested. And now they face against Schalke 04, which will be even harder than yesterday. So honestly, today will be super hype.
It's a phenomenal end boss, I would say, Schalke 04. And of course, what they are fighting for is to go to Worlds and to start in the play-in stage in just a little bit. Now, of course, when it comes to Worlds, all the regional qualifiers around the world are finishing up. In LCK, we now know the third seed will be Gen G, so the current world champions, and EDG from the LPL. So it's shaping up to be a very competitive play-in and Worlds stage.
And I mean, I'm really excited about the teams that are going. EDG going, Gen G going, so exciting. Just interesting that this is the third seed that comes out from both of these regions. And on top of that, Cloud9 or TSM going alongside us sending Schalke or G2. The amount of new names and faces paired with a lot of these old names coming in kind of at the bottom when you think about TSM, Cloud9, or G2, teams that you would have expected to be first seeds in years past, coming in at number 3 is really surprising.
It's great. You also know the teams that qualify as third seed, Sheepy, they'll be going straight to play-ins, and they may find themselves with Edward Gaming. It's no slouches, the teams that they'll be playing against in those play-ins.
Yeah, and also what this symbolizes, because this is Worlds. This is really what you worked out the entire year, what you worked your ass off for to actually be ranked among the greatest of the League of Legends scene. And honestly, if you're seeing this lineup and you want to win today, this is the place where you want to be. This is what you've been aiming for, and this is really the last chance for any of the teams to make it here.
Yeah, that's why there's so much on the line today. Now, a team from Europe that's already made it right there, Team Vitality. Yesterday, we previewed Fnatic, our first seed at Worlds, but now we want to talk about Vitality because it may be a surprise for many people that see them in the group stage that they've gotten this far. And truly, it's been a crazy season. They came in with 3 rookies, Attila, Jacktroll, and Jizuke. Ups and downs, but I think we can agree that they had a steady growth throughout the entire year.
Yeah, and they finally made it, and you see it, the emotions, because it's so important to reach Worlds. I think especially the man we're seeing here on screen has been a phenomenal guy for the entire team and has facilitated that they're actually winning those games. And yeah, I think we have seen it as well, that they are just extremely emotional, really straightforward. Kikis likes to play aggressive. This team overall, I think, is just really close to the skin.
And honestly, the story of Jizuke and the story of Vitality just continues this trend of seeing so many young players rise up in the EU LCS, and Jizuke especially hit the ground running, which is something we never saw from rookies first entering. Always kind of struggled on stage for the first few weeks. Jizuke came in clutch in spring. Yes, he did suffer at the start of summer, but by the end of the season and those playoff moments that really mattered, he showed up when it counted, and you can see that he made his impact in that series.
Yeah, it meant so much to him when we talked to him afterwards. He said, I couldn't hold back my tears and I had to kill the Nexus, but in the end we did it. And what I also think is so outstanding, once again in Europe we have this tradition of the rookies coming in, or the team coming in from Challenger, making it to Worlds. OG did it, Misfits did it, G2 did it, and now these guys on Vitality. What does that tell us about the European LCS?
Yeah, I think honestly, EU talent right now is huge. Throughout the history, EU was, known to have the strongest rookies, and they've been always coming from, Challenger Series up to the finals, even with Origin and stories like this before. And especially this guy, he has just so much confidence, and that's something I really like, because sometimes when you see rookies come out, they're like, okay, I'm testing my ground, I'm not really sure. This guy is exactly the opposite.
So then the big question is about Vitality. I know teams like to underplay them, and I know a lot of fans also are not sure what to expect of them. So what do you guys think in the group stage?
I mean, personally, I'm a big Vitality fan when it comes to best of ones. I think they're an incredible team when it comes to playing aggressive, and I think that's what wins you best of one matches in the group stage. If you come out swinging, teams aren't often prepared. And in terms of innovation, Vitality are definitely on the forefront, or have been historically. You think about the Lux, Pyke in the early weeks of Funnel. They were the team finding ways to shut people down in a new meta. It's a new patch. I think Vitality are going to pop off.
Yeah, and I totally agree here, because every other team has kind of jitters. You always see it in the beginning. They're playing kind of sloppy, testing out the field, what is the meta, and so on. I think Team Vitality is exactly the opposite of this. They are playing forward. They know their style. They know what they are good at, and they're just pushing it towards the other teams, and I think a lot of those teams will not be prepared.
Yesterday, we kind of agreed on the expectations for Fnatic from us, our top 4. Are you able to make that kind of assessment for Vitality?
I mean, so much depends on the group draw, because there are definitely teams that you do not want to go toe-to-toe with. So obviously, I think every region that isn't LPL right now is just crossing their fingers for a good group draw. But assuming that Vitality don't have, let's say, the group of death, I think they're actually a contender to get out. It might be second seed, but I think they can make it out of group.
Yeah, and if they come out, I think it will be a little bit scrappy, because maybe in the beginning you kind of get the wins because they don't know what you're doing. But after that, I think the teams are really strong at adapting, especially the teams that made it so far. They have shown it in the best of 5 that they have played. So I think in the beginning, Team Vitality has an edge, but the longer the tournament goes, the harder it will be.
Yeah, I'm just looking forward for the world to get to know the Italian stallion, Attila there. Of course, the first Italian and Portuguese players to make it to Worlds. The suits from Yamato, they don't know what they're in for in Korea. It's going to be crazy.
Especially the suits.
Yeah, but anyway, we are counting down towards Schalke versus G2 to get our 3rd third seed, but we do have one more mystery that needs solving, and there's no one better for the task than everyone's favorite duo.
When the darkness creeps in the dead of night, when the wolves howl and the rain lashes at your door, when the last vestige of hope has abandoned you, who are you going to call? Why, yes, the mystery-busting duo, the finest lads in the establishment. Welcome once again to the adventures of Medius and Verius.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is I, Detective Medius, joined by the magnanimous Dr. Medius. How the devil are you, good sir?
Oh, what ho and Tulipivsky, I am fine and well this fine afternoon now, my dear Verius. As we enter the sunset of the season, there cannot be a single mystery we have not overcome, not a single conundrum yet to be bested.
Although usually you would be right, Dr. Medius, there remains a sole puzzle left to solve, and that of this man and his immense champion, Ocean.
Oh, Nuke Duck, we must answer the question of which champion he will play next, but my dear Verius, are you suggesting the ocean runs deeper? Are you suggesting there is more water left in his bucket of skill?
Yes, I am, Dr. Medius, and that is what we are here to solve. Our mystery begins here with Exhibit A.
Looks like the guy from the Avengers.
The what?
Oh, never mind, it's after your time.
Anyway, this is a picture of the Norse god Odin. Does it remind you of anyone?
Well, my dear Verius, this picture of the Norse god Odin reminds me of the Norse god Odin.
Of course it does. How about now?
Whoa! Is that acclaimed tactician and Noxian Grand General Swain?
Why, yes, it is, Dr. Medius.
But what does it mean?
What? We'll get there, Medius. There's a build-up, you know, like there's a climax. Just don't jump the gun, all right?
It's always been a problem for me, I'm afraid. But right, what next, Detective Verius?
Let us move on to our next exhibit. I present you with this, the Norse god Loki.
Loki, the trickster, the deceiver, the shapeshifter, conniving and elusive. Hated by so many.
Yes.
There's only one champion that could fit this description.
Quite right, Medius. It is LeBlanc.
LeBlanc, yes. Sure.
Yes, LeBlanc, the deceiver. Are you starting to see a pattern here, Medius?
You seem to like pencil drawings of old men.
No. Nuke Duck has been using the Norse gods as inspiration for his champion pool. But after his defeat in the final, the gods seem to have abandoned him.
What will Nuke Duck do now that the gods have abandoned him? What will he play next?
Elementary, my dear Medius. How did it all end for the gods? Ragnarok and the destruction of their homeland by the fire giant Sutter. Therefore...
Gasp! It cannot be!
Yes, Brand! He wishes to drop fire and brimstone upon the gods that deserted him and the enemies that stand in his way.
No. Detective Verius, unfortunately, you're wrong. Shu, move along. Hop off. Let me prove it to you, because you have started in the wrong place. It's in the name. You have to start with Nuke Duck. Medius! Where do ducks live?
Don't answer that.
England.
No. They live in the ocean, you fool! A champion pool, champion ocean. I have another question, Medius, but I will not ask you because you will get it wrong. What do you call a male... Yeah, I am right. What do you call a male duck? A drake. That's right. Drake, ocean drake. It adds up. Because of his affinity for ocean drakes, Nuke Duck has led his team Schalke 04 to secure the most of any EULCS team. Do you know what? I think he's taunting me. I think it's all connected. And I can prove it statistically. Take a look at this.
Sure.
Detective Verius, there are 40 breeds of domestic duck, and Nuke Duck has played 19 unique champions. The oldest living duck is 20 years old. Nuke Duck is currently 22. Ducks have 3 eyelids. If you had opened your one eyelid and aligned it with his 3.2 KDA, you would have seen it all fits. It fits. Nuke Duck has a damage of 400 per minute, and the average flight of a migrating duck is 4,000 feet.
Wait.
So,
African or European?
both. Now, I do see, Medius, I'm aware how age works. 20.25 versus 20.
So biologically, this doesn't
It doesn't
work.
add up. So, I went to the solution. He is many ducks.
Many ducks.
That's correct. Take a look at the footage. Nukeduck is not just one duck, he is one of 108 ducks that I caught in footage working in perfect harmony. Look at this harmony. It's elementary, my dear.
No.
Nukeduck is many ducks.
This is ludicrous.
He can play any champion based on any duck
You've
he
got Quackers,
chooses
quick
to
shots.
be.
What? No,
is
this
simple.
is ridiculous. Quick stats, you have
Many
no
ducks.
idea
Many
what
ducks.
you're talking about. No, listen, we're going to my place, we're having tea, and we're having this discussion like gentlemen.
Many ducks!
Well, while they settle their differences over a cup of tea and a crumpet, I, once again, have solved the massive conundrum. My fine work and the work of those other two louts have led us to the final game in the regional qualifier.
Yeah. Sheepy, why don't you tell us what you thought, buddy? How do you feel about that? That feel good?
It was like old school versus new school. Now comes the
New.
analyzing part
A
again.
real coming of age story.
I think they
just
had
hear-
some good points there.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Wait,
I mean, so ducks have 3 eyelids. That's what I took away from that.
yeah,
That's
I
like
learned a
I don't
lot.
know
And
how
apparently
that
they're
works.
called drakes.
Yeah.
I love these
Nah,
guys.
there is
'cause
no
it's
way
like-
this is correct, is it?
Their slogan should be failing to answer questions that nobody ever asked.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like is the summary.
I'm not going to ask for my money back yet, but next time.
Did we
I
pay
don't
for
know.
that?
I don't know. I guess so. Anyway, right. We learned about Nukeduck. He plays a lot of champions. He's going to play more today. We are 9 minutes away from Nukeduck and Schalke taking on the. Well, G2 Esports. I'm sorry, I'm very confused.
We're coming back. We're coming
Yeah,
back.
we're coming
We're
back to Earth with
resetting.
this
Everybody
one.
take
I
a
would be
breath.
I would be confused after this.
Anyway, this is a lineup, and it is, of course, a wonderful, huge story from the organization. They've been through it all in the last couple of years, and that is why I think it is so impressive that they started 2018 with the new roster, then they had amazing coming in summer, and just when you look back, they have done something really amazing so far.
Yeah, and I think this is a lineup where everybody has something to prove. Chachi hasn't made Worlds, has been one of the best top laners all the time. Amazing. We have talked about it before. Started at the bottom, now he's here. Nukeduck for the mid lane really was considered one of the best mid laners, but was always without any results. Upset, one of the rookies, and Vanna obviously around all the time. So this team, we expect so much from.
But it took a while, you know, and at the beginning in the spring split, we were like, damn, they're not making playoffs again. Is it ever going to come together?
And it was a history of disappointment. So when Schalke failed again after building the super roster, I think people just lost hope because, you know, you went from LCS to Challenger. You came back, that was cool. And then the roster, the super team that you put together failed. But then when Amazing joined the lineup, the first few weeks were rough. But if you look at that week 5, week 6 point, where they turned it around, where they became a top team so quickly in the league, that is truly impressive.
And then in the end, looking for that crowning achievement in Madrid, of course, they beat Splice and Vitality on the way there. And then they come toe-to-toe with the reigning champions, Fnatic, and they were playing in such a competitive manner against a team that nobody thought could hold a candle to Fnatic, right? But they stepped up, they rose to the challenge. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough, and I think they can have their head held high going away from Madrid and coming into this regional qualifier.
Yeah, and I think those guys are really hot for the win as well. Against Fnatic, it was very competitive, like you said. I think a lot came down to the pick and ban and how they were acting. I think they were over-respecting Fnatic in a lot of cases and were afraid, second-guessing themselves. I think today will be different. They know it's their last chance. They know how much they wanted it. I think Chachi afterwards was also really, really disappointed, and those guys have it really in them to make this the World's run for themselves.
And they've been sitting at home. They've watched all of these teams battle it out in like 10 games. They saw exactly what G2 has up their sleeve, so they must feel confident. It is theirs for the taking.
It's interesting. You know, I want to see how much that plays on the team's minds today as they go forward, because I think that there's a lot that could be learned from yesterday's series. It's very visible to everyone. I mean, we see every Reddit thread is about this Heimerdinger pick. People know why G2 won those games, and you know that Schalke have to be aware as well.
Yeah, Dracos, you did talk, I believe, to the coach of Schalke, Giotto, a bit earlier, so let's take a listen.
I'm joined now by Andre ahead of your series with G2. Now, it's been a week since we've seen Schalke on the stage. How's the team feeling after the loss versus Fnatic in the finals?
I think overall the team is feeling well. I think we are aware that we showed a good performance in that finals, that we could have taken the finals, but that Fnatic was just the better team on that day. So I think we are aware of our potential, we are aware of our ability, and that makes us feel confident as well for today.
Now, you guys have also had the added advantage of getting to see G2 play a full 5 games yesterday. What did you learn from that series that you can take into the series today?
Yeah, so that advantage is a bit of a meme. It's not really an advantage because we don't really have scrims to actually apply what we can take away from those best of 5. So the only adaptation that we can make is through the draft. And I think G2 yesterday showed a lot of cards with the Heimerdinger, even though the Heimerdinger was not really a secret. But it was good for us to confirm how G2 likes to play, and that was according to the idea that we already had. So our plan didn't change that much because we had that thought out, but at least gave us the confirmation that we are getting the right track in terms of preparation.
Now, I'm curious, and you bring up the Heimerdinger specifically. Are you the kind of team that wants to go toe-to-toe with Hjarnan on that Heimerdinger, or are you guys just going to take it away? What can you tell me?
I mean, it was the same with Capsakali, you know? It was a pick that you couldn't give. We gave it, and we took that game away from them. So let's see.
I'm looking forward to some more Lissandra level inspiration here in the draft from Schalke. That's a big commitment. Now, looking ahead in this series, I want to know your personal prediction. Is Schalke just going to come in and 3-0 this, or is it going to be a closer series?
I think it's going to be a closer series than that people expect. I think that we are favorites compared to G2, but G2 yesterday showed that they solved a lot of issues that they had that was making them a let's say a really bad team towards the end of the regular split and the beginning of playoffs. I think they fixed a lot of those issues, so I think it's going to be a close series, but we'll take it around a 3-1, I would say.
All right, thank you for the insight, Andre, and good luck in the series. Back to you at the desk.
Well then, I love it. The coach of
Yeah,
the
I really like the interview. He seems very calm and collected, but also feisty. Like
they specifically told me it was awkward if I tossed back the desk because I'm on the desk and I couldn't help it. It's like ingrained in the habit. I toss back. Yeah.
Nice interview though. I have to say props, and Andre always very well spoken. I love it that he said, you know, we had things prepared. It just strengthened our thoughts of what we thought we would have to ban out and pick anyway, and we have some things prepared. I cannot wait.
I can't wait either. We want to see what they're going to do up against this G2 lineup.
Yeah, and G2 Esports, their opponents today, they are the 4-time EU LCS champions, and they haven't missed Worlds since they joined the EU LCS. Of course, we all know they've had some struggles this year, losing Sven and Mithy, Trick, Expect in the end, and Perkz being the last man standing. It was very up and down the whole year.
And it's not really the G2 we know from the years before. There were always more star players, and I think this roster really had to show for themselves as well. Built around Perkz, who was really the main man, and I really think that this guy needs to step up today as well.
Yeah, as we get closer to the matchup, I also want to talk to you guys at home or ask you guys to vote for who you think will win today and will be our last representative. Spam in chat S04 or G2. There we do see the man at the middle of G2 Esports, Perkz. He had a massive performance yesterday. We were thinking back to the Perkz of 2016 and 2017. That was the guy I saw yesterday.
Yeah, and Drakos was talking about it as well in the preview. Fantastic solo plays, really so fast that you can't even solo and ultimate what he was doing. Really strong on those solo carry champions. Didn't really quite make so much of a scene with Maza, but when he was on a playmaking champion, he showed up.
Absolutely did. And when he wasn't on a playmaking champion, the rest of G2 rose up around him. So while it's so easy to just call G2 the Perkz show, yesterday they did show us more, and that is key if they want to take down Schalke today.
Yeah, he is the big carry on G2 in terms of the big carry on Schalke. I'm looking at Upset, this guy who came in as a rookie this year. Of course, had his illness in spring, but bounced back phenomenally. And I think at the end of the split is one of the best, if not top 280 carries in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. I think easily top 2. I think when you look at it, Rekkles still has those big clutch moments. That's what gives him the edge over Upset. But in terms of consistency, Upset is untouched. This guy is so reliable in literally everything he does.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And we saw it in the match against Fnatic. Upset was winning that lane in the bot lane. Was either equal or winning it. And in teamfights was always providing. I think Schalke as a team didn't play so well together, but this guy definitely stepped up.
He stepped up, and what a story it is for him as a rookie coming into 2018. He can make Worlds, and by his side, he has a guy that has been around the block, as I said in the intro. He's seen it all, amazing, but he's back at the top. And I think that matchup versus Jankos is so important. Those are two guys that have so much to prove today if they want to get back to Worlds.
Yeah, and I personally think that Amazing has stepped up massively. I always was a big critic of him, and I think in the series against Fnatic, he was really showing that he is one of the better junglers that the region has. And especially against Jankos, I think this will be one of the most interesting matchups to follow. Because if we're looking over the line, I think Schalke wants to teamfight. I think G2 wants to play around solo lanes. And if the stronger jungle can control what is going on the map and controls the friction, I think then this team will win.
I mean, these are two guys who have incredibly low lows and incredibly high highs. Amazing, rising up to prove that he is a top jungler. I want to see him on an aggressive early pick, and it's the same story for Jankos. We saw once he got the Olaf and he could impact his lanes, G2 took off in the final games.
Yeah, incredible. We have to see across the board what all these players do. The fans at home, 59% currently for Schalke, so it is relatively close, and I think that is an adequate representation of what we're going to see here today. And as we take a look at our predictions, I personally voted for G2. It is a hard one to make. I had a feeling, that's very not analytically accurate, but whatever. At the beginning of yesterday, the gauntlet, that I felt like Perkz was going to step up and take the reins. And it's going to take a lot for them. I think it's going to be incredibly, incredibly difficult. But now that they're back on track and that they see Worlds, I feel like they have a pretty good shot at winning.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that G2 showed yesterday that they can be the strong team, what we expected from them the
But you're
entire
voting for
season.
Schalke.
But I think that Schalke is way more consistent. I think all of the lanes can exactly counteract what G2 is doing.
10 seconds.
And therefore we'll
You're
win.
cutting into my time.
Oh,
I'm
go,
gonna
go,
make it
go.
simple. I'm gonna make it simple. Van Heimerdinger win the series. Schalke.
There we go. Spot at Worlds on the line. It all comes down to this. G2 versus Schalke. Take it away.